Hey everybody, it's Natasha. I wanted to take this time to, bring you all another video log. Um, the previous one that I did, the first one that I did, was more so focused around my particular space of grief. Um, so I don't want to give the impression that any video log that I do is going to be something that is more sad or, you know, kind of in that energy because I do want to, while I'm trying to develop content and kind of figure out what direction this whole CapTivate to motivate endeavor is going to go into, I also do want to put out content where I'm showing myself. I'm showing myself in my most vulnerable space and, you know, talk more off the cuff. Any of you that have listened to the podcast that I have put out so far, which again, I need to plug that, please go to CapTivate to Motivate on all social platforms as well as on Anchor FM and on Spotify so that you can kind of catch up on that content. But let me go. Those podcasts were more so scripted because it was a concept or a thought that I may have had that I wanted to kind of expound upon. So I recognize and realize that some of that might have sounded very bookish. Anybody who truly knows me knows that I am not a super bookish person, that I'm sometimes kind of goofy or, insightful, things of that nature. So, that's the purpose of also putting out the video content as well as the interviews that I am planning to incorporate into the podcast and video log series. So I did just want to put that out there. I do hope that you all are having as productive and enjoyable of a day and week as possible, even with any kind of dreariness that you might be experiencing. I know for me, here in Maryland, it's very rainy, it's very overcast. But also on a personal standpoint, it's been a very trying couple of weeks, I'll say. But really more of a trying couple of months. I know that, as with a lot of you all, that it may feel like everything is going fine and then all of a sudden everything weighs down on you super heavy and you're trying to figure out how to kind of come up from under that to just like regain some sense of peace. And a thought came to me the other night. Actually, as I was getting into bed, this thought came up in my head. I was too tired to do something with it at that point, so I kind of sent myself a message so that I could kind of follow up on it and give some more thought to it. Again, anybody who knows me, I'm constantly thinking. I'm constantly like coming up with certain, and not tooting my horn, but I'm constantly kind of coming up with these like profound or whatever types of thoughts or statements that it's like, where is this coming from? But I think hopefully that you'll understand a little bit better about my brain space as well as how some of these messages, while they're helping me, may also help you. So the thought that came into my head was release to receive. That was it. It was release to receive and it was echoing in my head, and I'm not exactly sure where that necessarily came from. We always hear these statements of like let go and let God, or release for peace, or things of that nature, depending on what your walk is, or your community, or your faith, or anything like that. So I took the thought that this is ringing in my head for a reason, and I wanted to really like build upon that initial like very broad concept that came into my head. So this is not scripted. However, I did take some notes, so you might see me glance down just to, kind of stay on target with where my brain was moving in, as well as to, honor the time because I don't want these video logs either to become too wordy or too long, because I know we're all very busy professionals. I'm here at home teleworking, and I'm also caring for my daughter, so I need to get this out before she wakes up and starts crying. So the first thought that I had was, like I said, release to receive. So it's releasing something that is holding you back, or something that is like kind of a constant trend for you that's in the way, with the hopes of receiving something that you've always wished for or you've always longed for, that may change your trajectory of life, or that may put you in a better space to then take another step for your improvement or your overall growth. So the first one is release negativity to receive positivity. It's pretty cut and dry. If we walk around in a negative mind space and we're constantly casting off negativity towards any and everything that we encounter, it's almost like what you give out is what you're going to receive. So if you don't want to continue to receive certain elements of negativity, sometimes you have to kind of shift your brain. You have to release that. You have to let that go, so that more elements of positivity can be sprinkled upon you. And as you're further releasing the more negativity, whatever the core of that is, then more positivity will naturally gravitate to you. Release anger to receive joy. I know for me, there's a lot of things that make you angry. There's a lot of things that tick you off or set you off, or whatever. But anger is a secondary emotion. So behind that anger is always some sense of sadness. There's some sense of disappointment, some sense of regret. There's always something behind that, and we get to a point where it's anger, and how we play that anger out is a lot of times dysfunctional. It's not saying that being angry, you should never be angry, because that's not that's not natural or rational. But when we let that boil up, then we're not able to see, feel, or receive the joy that can be in any space that we might walk into, or any relationship or whatever that we may have. Release hate to receive love. It's pretty much cut and dry. It's just, you can't live a life full of love when you're grounded and just in hate. like I said, it's pretty cut and dry. I don't feel like that needs to be super further expounded on, but you take that how you want to. So depending on whatever space or whatever community that you align with or whatever, I feel like we've all dealt with some level of hate. Some people's a little bit more than others, but it's not a comparison contrast, because it's not a competition. But anytime that you are, heavily weighted in hate, you can't receive the love. You can't give out effective love, and you can't receive the love that you feel like you might be due. Release judgment to receive acceptance. It goes along with the earlier statement about releasing the hate. Because, for me as a therapist, but even before that, for me just being Natasha, I pride myself on being a very accepting person. I don't necessarily have a lot of judgments. Everybody has certain biases, but it's your job to, when you realize those biases, it's your job to do your work so that you can counterbalance or even eliminate that bias, because that bias is still judgment. And the more that you are, I guess, deeply rooted in the judgment of others, how they live their lives, how they choose their loves, how they, do things that are not necessarily effective to you or effective to, your space and what you've got going on, then it's almost like you're blocking your own acceptance. And clearly, this is a big problem that we have throughout our whole world. And it's my hope that, for myself, my family, my friends, and for my child and whatever children that, we are blessed to have, that, there is more acceptance of everyone and more inclusion for everyone that is birthed from certain steps that our ancestors made, as well as certain steps that we're making and going forward. Release stress to receive peace. This is a very difficult one for me, as well as, it might be for you all too. Stress is such a complex type of feeling. It's such a complex state of being. But the better that you learn how to manage your stress will naturally result the higher sense of peace that you have within yourself, within your family, within your relationships, within your work environments. Just it's not just one of those like flowery, colorful type, of concepts. Literally, like, stress kills. And not only does stress kill your physical body, but it kills those relationships or those opportunities or those things around you. So, have to take steps to find healthy ways of better managing your stress, so that you can promote that inner peace for yourself, as well as for those who are the most important around you. Let's see. Release fear to receive confidence. So for me, I'm gonna call it what it is. So me being a transparent person on a one-to-one basis or in my group of comfort, whether that's friends or colleagues or things of that nature, I can be very vulnerable. I can be very transparent. Yes. Sometimes too much so, but that's just, my character and me. But then on the other side, when it comes to me speaking to people that I don't know what their attitudes or feelings or perceptions or whatever of me are, then that fear kind of comes into place, and it interferes with, me being able to be confident enough to speak my thoughts and, really to convey my voice. So like I said, earlier, this whole CapTivate to MoTivate thing, it's not only, to help others, but it's my growth process too. Because it is something, public speaking is something that I want to improve upon, and I've been improving upon over the course of the last few years, but that's also because I didn't let fear get in the way, and I took on new challenges or new opportunities so that I can work on that for, whether it was for my professional growth or, other facets that I'm looking into doing for myself. Release procrastination to receive progression. So in that, I can be a master procrastinator. And it's not that I don't think that whatever my task is not important. It's not that. But, I think we all kind of wait to that sweet spot of time or that sweet spot of quietness or whatever. We're just going to put it off until this. We're just going to put it off until this. And then when you get to the moment, like you can't wait anymore. You have to do this thing. It's like, yeah, you might do a good job, but you've now increased a certain level of stress within yourself. You've now put yourself under, a ridiculous amount of pressure to now do this thing that maybe if you had even, started a day earlier or a couple of days earlier, it wouldn't have gotten to that point. Or if it's something that that you need to work on, it's something that you need to do, it's something that that you've been putting off for whatever reason, that's procrastination. So you're not going to get to the certain level of progression and to the certain point that you in your head would like to get to, because you're still stuck back here. Like you're stuck back here ruminating about all of the anxieties, all of the doubts, all of the worries, all of the fear, and you're over here stewing in this. You're not making the progress that you would like to see. You're not going to reach the end goal that you want to reach, or you're not going to reach it till, it's going to take that much longer for you to get to that point. Release deprecation to receive empowerment. Um, and to kind of like explain that a little bit more, we all have these like we all have like these self-deprecating types of thoughts or beliefs about ourselves if we are truly honest with ourselves. um, they can be on any side of the spectrum. They can be to any degree. But something as simple like, you know I can't believe I did that, I'm so stupid. Or, you know my kid got in trouble, I'm such a bad mom or father. um, just like those negative messaging types of statements that we make internally with whether it's in our head or it comes out loud or whatever. Like those are like self-deprecating things because they don't do anything to uplift you. So it's almost like before the world has an opportunity to push you down, you're pushing your own self down. And so when we make steps to at least eliminate some of those internal messages and those internal statements that we have for ourselves that they may be echoing from our past, from our childhood, or from failed instances that we have gone through. When we start to release that, or we start to counter challenge that or counterbalance that with more positivity, like that I made a mistake, and people make mistakes. That's just something that happens. I'll work harder going forward. Or, I am being the best mother, the best parent, that I can be. And if I feel like there's room for me to grow, I need to do my work. I need to do my things so that I can be better in that. And then that's when you receive that empowerment, that self-empowerment. You don't necessarily need to have somebody else to inject that into you. You're injecting it into yourself. So hopefully that kind of, makes sense about that particular part. Release doubt to receive a commitment to yourself. Oh, I'm sorry, made a mistake. Release doubt. Release doubt to receive encouragement. That kind of goes along with, kind of what I was saying before. Releasing the doubt that this thing is not going to go the way that I want to go. You've already made a decision. You've already made a decision before you actually give your try or you actually give your effort. Like, when you doubt something, it's almost like you don't have confidence in yourself, but you also don't have confidence in, just an opportunity. You don't have confidence in somebody else. You don't have confidence in whatever that is that you're looking at or that you're wanting to approach. And so it lowers the encouragement that you have to try. It's almost like you're setting yourself up for failure. Like if you already go into something with a whole bag full of doubts, you're taking your own steam out of yourself. So and it's almost like somebody can't try to encourage you out of that, but you also can't encourage yourself out of that. So definitely, you have to be able to release the doubt. And the doubt is, this ain't gonna work. I really don't think that this is gonna pan out. I really don't think, this is for me, things of that nature, to, more so foster encouragement. The caveat to that though, because I know that might be something that, might bring up questions within somebody. Those red flags or those things that bring up, your gut talk. Sometimes we need to learn how to go with that, especially as women. Like when our guts flare up, that's our intuition. And it's not just a woman thing. Women are not the only ones that have intuition. But sometimes we need to be able to call a thing. And when somebody is showing you who they are, or they're showing you what they can give, or they're showing you, their value in you and for you, then that's not the same thing. That's not the doubt that I'm talking about. It's more so the doubt in your abilities. So, like I said, this is unscripted. It's more so kind of like off the cuff, even though I have notes. But I heard a little echo in my head, and I just need to clarify that, because That is not what I'm saying. Ladies and men, everybody. Like, some of those things we do need to pay better and more attention to. So that's not what I'm talking about when I'm saying to, release the doubt to receive more encouragement. Release the expectations of others to receive a commitment to yourself. I had a conversation with a friend earlier this week, and it was something that I said or gave to her that is something that I need to hear myself say it to remind myself, but it's also something that I need to work on. You can't have certain expectations for people. You can have what your desires are, what your wishes are, what your boundaries are telling you, these are the things that you need. But when you make certain expectations for other people and they're not aware that those are the expectations that you have for them, they're going to let you down every single time. So, you can have an expectation, but you also need to communicate it to make sure that that person is understanding of it, that they're accepting of it, and then that's kind of putting them to task to see how they follow through. Because that's just your establishment and expression of your boundary. So, I think a lot of us will have certain expectations for whatever it is in our heads. And then when life just does not pan out and meets our expectations, we're constantly let down. We're constantly feeling dismissed, overlooked, disrespected, things of that nature. But it's almost like you're putting certain expectations on somebody, aside from their knowledge. They have no earthly idea that that's what your expectation is. And so, when I say that we need to release the expectations of others to receive a commitment to ourselves, the commitment to ourselves is that we need to be able to stand firm and rooted in what our needs are, what our values are, what our worth is, and make a commitment to communicate that. Sometimes make a commitment to be the change that you would like to see. So you can't have certain expectations of somebody, but you do the exact opposite, or you don't operate in a similar space. But it's like, we receive this almost like permission. When you let that go, we receive this permission to be able to be forthcoming and to be able to be honest with what it is that we need for ourselves, for our relationships, for our, job situations, things of that nature. Release hurt to receive healing. That is also a complex type of ideal, and it's easier said than done, because hurts can be very, deep-seated and deeply rooted. And just to say, I'm just going to let that go. I'm just going to release that into the atmosphere or to my God or to the universe or whatever, because I want to have healing. Just making the statement in and of itself is not going to be enough. Just like with grieving, it's a process. So, being hurt, it's a process. Like, you have to do the things that are healthy, but you have to do the things that you need to do for yourself to be able to overcome or combat some of that hurt. And whether it's with forgiveness, whether it's with, just releasing certain relationships or releasing certain things that no longer serve you, like, as you're doing that, then you'll receive more healing for your soul and for your spirit and for your heart. Because it's kind of like with that hate and with that anger, it's like when you're walking around and you're sitting in it and you're stewing in it and you're just, like when you're just in it and you operate out of that space, it can feel like you're drowning, literally. It can feel like, there's no air to come up to. There's nothing that's there to restore you. So, that means taking the steps that you need to take. Doing your work, whether it's with a therapist, whether it's, with a credentialed and qualified life coach, whether it's, seeking out your church home, or your pastor, and, your church family, or, there's just supportive people around you that can kind of like assist you in, releasing some of that hurt. Those are the things that you need to do. Release ignorance to receive knowledge. Close the book. But literally, it's like saying I don't know, or that's not that's not good enough. If it's something that is beneficial, worthwhile, and necessary, then you need to take the steps that you need to take so that you can receive the knowledge that you need, so that you can be better about whatever that is. Like, just feigning ignorance about something and saying I don't know and I don't understand, and just kind of like staying in that space, does nothing for the situation that you might be in. So, it's almost like you gotta let go of that block. You gotta let go of that mask, or whatever you want to call it. You gotta let go of that ignorance. I just don't know. I just don't get it. I just don't understand. No, you need to let go of that and do your work. Try to align with people who can feed into you that knowledge and that know-how. Find it yourself. Google is a magical thing. Like, you can go on Google and find information about everything. You can go on YouTube University and find out how to do anything that anything that it is that might pop up in your head. You can't just like operate in a space of I don't know. And it doesn't mean that I got to go back to school, I got to get these degrees, no, that's not what that means. It means also aligning with people who do know, who do show that, they are skilled or whatever in this space, and being able to glean some understanding and some knowledge from them. But just sitting in ignorance, that ain't the move, sis. That ain't the move, bro. Like, that's not gonna like really promote progression at all. And the last one, release stagnation to receive growth. I felt like that was a good spot to end on, even if it's only like a temporary break, because I feel like this, concept can be revisited over and over and over again, especially with different people in different walks of life, or, different spaces. Like this compare contrast list or whatever can go on for a while. I'm not trying to hold y'all forever. So, but, releasing stagnation to receive growth means that you can't stay in a stuck space. So, if you don't feel like you're making the change that you would like to see, but you're not doing anything to facilitate that change, that's the stagnation. If you feel that you are not surrounded by, the supportive and encouraging people that you need to have around you, and if everybody's kind of bringing you down, you're in a stuck point. You're being very stagnant. So it's now your responsibility to try to find that, or foster that, or create that. Like, sometimes it's that we don't have that friend circle. We don't have that space. So do you just sit in your space of I'm so lonely and I wish I had people around me, but I don't have anybody around me, and just stay there? Or do you almost do certain steps to kind of overcome that shyness, or overcome that lowered self-confidence, or whatever, to reach out to find, somebody who might be very like-minded as you, or who, as they're kind of helping you grow, you're helping them grow. What I will say is, over the course of literally the last couple of years, since we've been living in Maryland, and we've been up here for going on 7 years, I believe. I lose track of time, and especially with the pandemic. Yeah. So I have met some people that are pretty damn dope. Like, I love and value and cherish the friends that, I have had from childhood or high school or college into my adulthood, and they're still here. They're still necessary. They're still valued, and I love them immensely. But some of these new people that I have encountered as I'm stepping into this next stage of 40, let me be very honest. It's it's a beautiful and heartwarming thing. But let me key you into something else. I didn't meet them in an organic way. So I have four very, you know, qualified, quality female friends up here that I've met on social platforms. Just hey, trying to meet new people in this area. Hey, new to the area, this is what I like to do, things of that nature. And I've met some of the most encouraging people like that. Like, just having the openness to, you know, okay, whew. So apparently I talked over the amount of space that I had for my iPad. So that's my cue to go ahead and wrap this up. But I did want to say thank you very much for being with me in this space. Like always, please follow CapTivate to Motivate on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. For Twitter, the 8 part of each word is actually the number 8. YouTube, Spotify, Anchor, Breaker, pretty much anywhere that you would listen to your podcast. The only place that I'm not on at this point, but I will be uploading my content to, is Apple Music. That's not that's a manual upload, so I haven't gotten to that point yet, but I will get to that point. Again, just want to say thank you to you all, and also just kind of like reiterate the whole necessity of releasing to receive. Thank you all and have a wonderful day.